Good morning, everyone. I hope you are doing well. I wanted to hop on here real fast and live is just the quickest way to do it, and it'll make sure anyone who's already subscribed to the channel will get pinged. I am no longer taking client work, personal students, or any of that. Nothing. No requests for spell work of any kind. I've said this on the channel a few times during live streams, but I don't think I've ever put it in the video itself. At this time, and until I say otherwise on the channel, I am no longer taking client work of any kind. The online school, the packages that are pre-purchased and over there, that's going to be there just fine. I'm saying this because I had to send back 12 fees where people had never reached out to me. They had not talked to me. They had not communicated with me in any way. They sent the money, expecting me to just do whatever magical service that particular person was requesting. And that completely bypasses, even when I did client work, how I handled it. Um, so the fact that I had to send back 12 different fees. No, not free money. I didn't keep it. I probably should have, but I didn't. Stop smoking. I sent it back and let them know handle cannot take on the client work at this time. Plain and simple. But this is getting a little ridiculous. First off, um, I haven't taken client work, especially from the channel or other things, in some time. Many of you will know that the website where those things were originally have been closed, and there was a reason for it. The only type of these workings that I am doing right now is through I do handle some very, very uber minor cases that's more or generally beneficial kind of things. Or like on Sunday super chats, if the $5 or more super chats, anyone who does that, I include them into a spell working I do. That's for like prosperity. Um, if you're having a life crisis, see a professional, not me. Seriously, plain out. See a professional. I'm not taking client work right now. I'm sorry, I just can't. There's way too much going on in my life to do so. And I wanted to make sure this was done and stated very clearly and upfront because I have been getting more and more and more of these. I just can't handle it. I can't do the research I got. I can't take care of my family. I can't manage and get it all done. So it's just not fair. And that's the easiest way I can say it. I'm going to be straight up with y'all on that. I do appreciate your trust in me. I do that. I do appreciate that. But at the same time, any of these requests also go very counter to anyone who's followed this channel will know spiritual healing, lottery picks, all these things that I have adamantly spoke out against time and time and time again, and that magic is not a cure all, and that even if you use magic to support your health, you should still see a doctor. Clearly, people emailing me are not listening when I say those things because I'm not going to go against it, no matter how much money you throw at me. You could offer me $1,000,000 to do a basic spell working so you don't have to go to a doctor. I still won't do it. You can't buy me off. I do have my principles. Sorry. That being said, hope everyone is doing fine. Sorry, I look like a schmuck today. I've just jumped in the office. I've been handling some emails and stuff. Luckily, I had a friend here this morning that was helping me sort through some of these and get those returns sent back and the like. And many of those were submitted through things like PayPal. And PayPal's been problematic for a lot of people. And there's good reasons for it to be considered problematic. I'm one of those that questions how long I'll continue holding that. But, it's all good. And again, I do appreciate your trust in me, but at the same time, we have to understand I got so much going on. I can't possibly do that. And I would honestly and truly, I've gotten to the point in my life where I really do enjoy client work as much as I enjoy teaching, right, to do for themselves rather than have them constantly coughing up money to someone to try and fix their problem. And honestly, let's be truthful. When we're talking the occult, 9 times out of 10, it's a sham, right? We can't verifiably prove anything in the occult outside basic possible faith or what we believe or what we choose to believe. And again, like I mentioned, crap, not. We can follow the data, what seems to be perceived as working for us. That's really as close as we can get. Um, but I'm really, really cautious because I'm one of those people who was almost killed by a faith healer. And I take that very, very seriously. So I'm just, yeah, I've stopped doing all client work. It's not even just at the channel. I don't take client work anymore. If I don't offer to help, odds are I'm probably not going to do it. That's one of those things. I help out in my community. There's a lot of places as a mage, as a magician, I feel compelled to help. Sometimes it's just physical labor. Sometimes I put a little magical oomph into it, but by and large, that's just it. I I hope that makes sense. You are looking good, bro. Not like it. Thank you, thank you. I'll be honest. This is my sleep shirt. I haven't even managed to get in the shower. I've been so busy this morning. So thanks for the compliment. I'm having a day. Let's see. Got a few questions. I'll take a question or two before we get going. If I can ask, what do you mean by client work, like private sessions or the online school? Okay, the online school's perfectly functional. It's going to keep going. Those are all pre-packaged stuff, right? If I post a workshop and I'll be teaching the workshop, right? When I say client work, all the client work has always been one-on-one students. It has been spell work for hire, those kinds of things. That is the stuff that is client work. Um, and honestly, I stopped taking client work and things over a year ago, really. I've mentioned it a time or two on channel. I mean, I still talk about past clients' experiences because they still exist. They were there. It's not like they just poof, be gone because I stopped taking clients. But the online school is still there. The spell working for supporters, that stuff still happens. That's not really client work. It's attached to a project that's already ongoing. And none of that's really over. It's scheduled and set aside very nice and neat. And as we all know, that's just like a perk for your support. You could call it for entertainment purposes only, whatever you want. It's almost like a monthly horoscope, if you will. Not to downplay its effects that so many people's been thankful for, but that, like, the perks for being a local supporter isn't lumped into client work. Client work is the one-on-one stuff that I used to do on the side. And I no longer do that. The online school, still there. Workshops, we are still doing workshops. I believe Jade is actually getting ready to post one. I've been doing a lot more lives over at locals. I know last week was kind of a drought. Apologize about that. But we are going to be doing more of those. And honestly, the live kind of workshop style live teaching is kind of really where I'm enjoying right now. So if at all possible, I'm going to attempt to do more of those. In fact, my plan, if I didn't have to answer emails all morning, would have been to work a bit more on the Norse course and hope to get the first section of that over at locals for the supporters. I hope that answers your question there a little bit. You're a good teacher. Well, appreciate it. I thank you. Drake, I was about to sleep but saw a notification. Oh, Vicky, no. This is just me ranting about people sending me. You can watch this later. This is just going to be a short announcement. You get some sleep, Vicky. You deserve it. What ritual do I recommend during the super moon next month? I'll be honest, I don't do a lot of moon work, personally speaking. If you do any lunar work that we normally do is going to be theoretically ramped up during the super moon. Okay. That's so anything that you would normally do would be a great choice. Um, that being said, let's see, next month is August. So I can't even remember what the August moon is. I'd just do your normal lunar stuff. Like I'm actually running low on moon water, and I usually work with the Norse to do that. I may actually try and time my because moon water in Norse practice is it's a process. It's not a single night. So I might try to tie it in so that either I catch the supermoon in the center or on the end of that. But honestly, that's all I would do because, like I said, I'm not a patient person. I don't like to wait around on events. I really don't. Um, do I do any planetary magic? I do occasionally, but again, I it's not one of my more fortes. I've found other things that I find more effective for me. More often than not, I'll turn to dragon magic, and there are definitely dragons that work within the planetary spheres, though they're very adamant it has nothing to do with the rock in the sky or its position in the sky. So the dragons view planetary magic slightly different than some systems that we humans do. Again, which I prefer that again because I don't have to wait around on what's in the sky, where it's in the sky, um, those kind of things. But I do some. I don't usually reference it directly as planetary magic because it is so different than most other systems, if that makes sense. All right. All right. And you're a great teacher, man. Let's see. You're a great teacher. Well, appreciate that again. You guys are going to give me a big head and I got a hat to hide it. Um, I planned my first evocation with your course, so never quit the teaching career because it suits you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I don't intend to. I actually enjoy the teaching side of it. I I just I ran into a moral personal view on the spellcasting side because even though I wasn't doing anything for like healing, it was getting a little too close to the barrier and I was feeling ick on it, so I stopped doing it. Let's see. I it's just been, when you get start like if it was one or two every now and then I wouldn't mind. It's the fact that it's been 12 or 13 or sometimes more in the mornings and I was just like, let's do a video specifically stating, please, I'm no longer taking client work. Renee, sorry, it was just a tip for reading the email. Recommend someone who could. I honestly cannot recommend anyone. I'll be honest, the magicians I take time and hang out with and respect, most of them do not have an online presence. Um, and yeah, they just don't. Heck, got a few of them that full on like paranoid delusion about digital footprints. Um, they're not tinfoil hat people, but we might make jokes occasionally about them needing a tinfoil hat. But yeah, we just like to poke fun at them. All right, one more question. If I can ask another question, because I put it out there for past 2 weeks, and I've always ends up skipping. I got a dog and want to use magic to help train him, and I have no clue what to do. That's actually a really cool question, Karma. I'm so sorry that one's been missed. Glad you got it here. So, yes, magic you could definitely do to help train your dog. I would actually lean into if you work with Zephyr Seal is really cool with teaching, not just helping you to learn, but helping you to teach. In the case of your dog, you are teaching it. And dragons love animals. I'm not going to lie. There's a reason that I describe their personality almost like a mix between a cat and a dog. So you could definitely reach out to Zephyr Seal and help him. And I would ask him in two ways to help you. First off, help you to understand the animal and help the animal to understand you. Because not all dogs train equally, right? Like a red bone hound is an amazingly intelligent dog, but it's also an extremely hard dog to train because you have to reinforce and emphasize constantly. And if you don't stay consistent, they're also so stubborn and intelligent, they're just going to go off and do their own thing. Um, so you do need to do some research on that, but get him to help. That would be a great way to do it. Um, I have not trained a dog in many, many years. I'll be honest with you. So I'm not up to date on all the newest stuff. But I would talk to Zephyrsil. If you don't work with dragons, you could actually also talk with Odin and Thor. Both of them are really great when it comes to training animals. Thor has definitely heavy associations with working and work dogs and stuff like that. But he also, I mean, yes, he has goats in the myths, but again, um, you can train a goat, you can train a dog also. Of course, Odin has a direct link with canines due to the wolves that he has with him. So you could reach out to both of those. Um, I've I don't know about the Morgan. Like some people associate, the Morgan's association with hounds, but I've also been told by a lot of people who work with her that um, training is not kind of her viewpoint. She more prefers the wild feral. It's not an area or a road I've discussed, so I can't say for sure. All I can say is that's what I've been told by a few people who do work a bit more with her. So take that with a grain of salt. Good question. I personally think spellcasting should be more of a sporadic thing, not for clients. Clairvoyance skills help. Had some communication. Yep, clairvoyance can work too. And yeah, I get where you're at. That's why, like I said, I stopped doing it. I do some basic, broad spell working as a bonus benefit for supporters, but no longer any client work. So just making sure that's all clear and dandy, and we're all on the up and up. And I did. Just if anyone who sent that is here for any reason, I refunded all of the funding sent, whether it was listed as a tip or whatever. I had it returned because if I'm not going to do the work, I'm not going to take the tip. I don't feel right doing that, even if it's a tip. And Radani, I did get your email. You're not the one that triggered this. All I can say is I apologize. I can't take up that particular situation. And I do thank you for the tip for reading the email, but I sent it back anyway because I have to read emails every morning. You don't have to tip me to read an email. That's just part and parcel of the gig. I do appreciate it though. It was sweet of you and kind, but I went ahead and refunded it all the same. Um, no, you're not the one. No. I got yours, Radani. Yours was honestly. I wish more people were as respectful as yours was. I really do, and I do thank you for being so considerate and respectful. I do. I honestly do. There are others who less so. Let's put it that way, if that makes sense. Um, so don't worry about it. Not upset in any way at you, Radani. If you think that, you may not think that, but if you think that, I'm not. I just want to make clear on where I stand on that, and that way you all don't waste your time or your money. I do apologize. I will continue to teach. Y'all ain't getting rid of me. I've still got plenty of stuff to do here on YouTube. You'll still see stuff over at the school. You'll still see stuff for supporters and members alike over at locals. So yeah. With that, I've got some stuff I got to get done today. This ran a little longer than I thought it would, but hey, we got to have a conversation, got to answer a few questions, and one that apparently has been missed for 2 weeks. So I'm glad we got that one. Witchy Jim, good afternoon. Amar, do you consider learning new stuff in Magic or just exploring other systems? I'm not sure I understand the question because I try to learn new things in magic practically daily. I'm always experimenting and doing new things. Um, that's just the way my head's wired. So when you say explore other systems, even if I'm exploring other systems, I'm still trying to learn new things. So I don't really separate the two per se. Um, it's rare that I sit down and read and don't consider it in a functional way. It it really is. If I pick up a book on the occult, when I read it, I'm reading it from a how can I apply this functional manner. Now, if it reads in a manner that does not seem to be functional or applicable to me directly at that time, I will probably dog ear it for experimentation later, but I never just completely set stuff aside in its entirety. Um, Even some of the books that I have found to be absolutely freaking ridiculously funny and looks like a straight out of fiction, I have attempted to apply them to see if you could get results. Most of them are extremely disappointing, to be true, but I always try to give something a fair shake, even if it's something, if it's even if it's dog-eared for experimentation later. I make sure I have that note so when I have the free time, I can test it, if that makes sense. Because magic is, I mean, it's bigger than broad. I'd say it's infinite. That's why I say find your path, find your thing, find what works for you. I have methodologies and systems and frameworks that get a lot of people going and help them get over humps, but I am by no means the only source of information, nor have I figured out every secret. Um, so yeah, by all means, get out there and try new things. Live life, have some fun with it, find what works for you. Because seriously, if what I'm saying is not yielding you results, why the hell are you going to keep pounding your head against the wall? I wouldn't do it. Like my entire year that I spent trying to disprove magic was just that. It was literally like, I'm going to dedicate an entire year to this. I'm going to keep all my data and I'm going to show I get no results and then fuck this shit, I'm out. It didn't work that way because I unfortunately, for the initial plan starting out, got results. On the upside, fortunately, I got results, which led me down a whole new path of discovery that has never grown dull since then. I'm always seeking to learn. However, we all only got so much time in the day, so we have to pick and choose. And I've learned to sort through what interests me quickly, if that makes sense. I've been curious for other systems for a long time. I have worked with the Kabbalah. I have worked in Solomonic magic. Me and one of my mentors actually did a 3 year path working within Solomonic. I didn't care for it personally. Got good results, but I didn't care for the system itself. I've worked inside Cliff Othic, which I've talked about on this channel. So, I mean, yeah, I dive into other systems quite often to try and learn from them and try and see what they're about and try to understand them. But none of them's just been like this thing that I latched onto, and it's like I really like this one. But I try to do that. Try new things as long as, yeah, I mean, yeah. Um, I knew a magician. Their entire thing was pop culture magic. They would essentially create thought forms or egregores based around pop culture figures and their lore only, instead of working with actual entities. And you can call it sigil magic, you can call it servitor magic. I don't care what you want to label it. She called it pop culture magic, and she got a lot of amazing results. Wasn't my cup of tea because honestly, I can't focus on the rituals. Like I tried to, but I can't do it. It just felt so silly to me. So it wasn't the practice that was the problem. It was me, Drake. It's just like some people are ticklish, some people aren't. Which one works for you, one doesn't. Just find the one that works for you, if that makes sense. Um, Wicca is a religion, and it's for some people it's a good religion. For some people, it's a toxic religion. By and large, I would say I had a bad experience with Wicca um, on more than one way. And then after I left it, Let's just say my experience with doing events in the pagan community was probably one of the most terrifyingly toxic times of my life. That's not to say that all pagans or all Wiccans are toxic, but there's something about the ones that seem to gather at these events that really did not put their best face forward. That's why, for an example, I don't care what religion you are. Okay. I don't care what your political affiliation is. I don't care what label you want to pin on your jacket. I don't. Because to me, that label doesn't say one damn thing about you. Okay. You're Christian, cool. You're Wiccan, cool. You're a Satanist, cool. You've worshipped the flying spaghetti monster, cool. Don't give a shit. What I care about is who are you as a person and an individual. And let me just say that your religion, your politics, those should not be your identity. Okay? Because at that point, we become a sheep. Your identity should be who you are as an individual. And that's why I preach so much that let's think for ourselves. I do not let my political views, my religious views, any of those dictate how I live my life. In fact, sweetly enough, I had a pastor once when I was younger. He complimented me, not because when I started coming to the church, like I'd be listening and I'd be going home and I'd be reading the passages and I'd come in on Tuesday or Wednesday and I'd have questions. Like he don't preach on Tuesday or Wednesday, right? But I'd have questions. And he was amazed that here's this kid, which I guess I was in my teens at the time, but he viewed me as a kid, coming in, asking questions, doing his reading. And he actually said, more people need to be like you, not more Christians, just more people in general. Because if more people took time to dive in, to read and see the full context and look at the context across the broader spectrum, even more people would have a greater understanding of the world as a whole. And that stuck with me. But it's also something like my grandfather taught me that. He's don't just take something at face value, do your reading, do your own research, think for yourself. Because I can remember being like 8 or 9 years old, my grandfather pointing at the TV, aka the ignorant box, as he called it. Some stupid politician was on, and he's like, "See that jackass over there?" He's like, "Oh, he's going to spout on, make all kinds of promises. They'll never keep up with them." Who was it? I don't remember that. Because I'll be honest, I was 8. I didn't give a shit. I was just kind of laughing at my grandfather ranting, but it stuck with me still because he always did, even whether he's ranting or not. He encouraged us to think for ourselves. And that's been a true gift for me throughout my life and even in my occult practice. And I do think it's a skill that has been lost because, and you all have your opinion, you're welcome to it. But after watching my nephews and my goddaughter go through school, it's like they're taught what to think, not how to think for themselves. Okay. It's like you have to, this is the answer. There's no exception. They're just given data points that they're meant to parrot. And they're never taught how to critically dissect and think. And what's terrifying to me is I'm seeing this in college graduates who graduate in science. Like I actually have been asked by people how to do research when they graduated college in a science field. How do you graduate college in any science profession and not know how to do research? That fries my noodle. It really does. I can't even. There's something wrong, people. There is. Agree or disagree, don't mind, but that's my 2 cents on it. So there you go. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I did not mean for this to run this long, but I do appreciate it. Great questions, great conversations. Tell you what, I may pop in later this week and actually try to do a longer live or something where I can take some questions, or catch me over at Locals because those definitely give us time to talk about things we can't talk about here on YouTube and those kinds of things if you have those kinds of questions. Till then, everybody have a great week. Take care. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.